Okay, you can go through and read these words first, and then I want you to go through and highlight the common elements. So you can see all of these words either start with the prefix sub, which we'll highlight, or sup. Now, if the base word, the first letter of the base word starts with a P, the prefix change rule tells us that we can change the last letter of the prefix to match the first letter of the base word. So because the base word starts with a P, we're changing the last letter of that prefix to a P. So you've got sup on each of these. Now, I would suggest you also go through with another colour highlighter or other colours, because there's quite a bit in each of these, and you can go through and just highlight that perhaps like the E is making the U make a long sound. You've got the OUS here. You've got the CI making a sh sound, which we know is common in the middle of a word. You've got the double S at the end of this root word here because you've got a short vowel sound. In supplier, you're changing the Y to an I before you add the ER. Supportive, it is a short sound. The only reason there's a V on the end is because there's an E after the V is because English words are not allowed to end with a V, so we pop an E on the end to fill that gap. Meant at the end of a word as a suffix is M-E-N-T, as opposed to when you're meant to do something and it's M-E-A-N-T. You also know that after a stop consonant, so P is a stop consonant because it stops as soon as you say it, P, we add LE after any stop consonants. So there's quite a lot in this list apart from the prefix change rule being revised. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do is syllabify these words. So we want you to break them up into their parts. So you've got sub, so the prefix will always be a break of the word. I might just change colours for you here. So we've got sub. If you have a vowel with an R, it's always going to be a long vowel sound. So we're going to split that syllable straight after the R. Din, it is a short vowel sound, so we close that syllable with a consonant and we split it between the N and the A. So we've got sub or din 8. Now, spelling long words is really easy, a lot easier than writing many short words because the phonics is so much simpler. So long as you can syllabify a word and recognise long and short vowels, you'll find it quite an easy way to spell a long word. So if we were writing, we would do flow lines here, and you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4 in our writing, and then we just fill the bits in underneath. Sub or din 8. Makes it very easy to spell the words. Okay, let's go through now and have a look at the meanings of these words. Not much use learning to spell a word if you don't know the meaning. So subject is a branch of knowledge. A submarine, of course, is an underwater vehicle. A substitute is a person or thing acting or serving in place of another. Substantial means of considerable importance, size or worth. Subconscious means existing in a part of the mind that a person isn't aware of. Now, a subordinate is lower in rank or position. Suppress means to prevent, often through force. Supplier is a person or an organisation that provides a needed product or service. Supportive is providing encouragement or emotional health. And supplement is something additional or make something complete. Now, what we want you to do now is to have a good look at the word, cover it, write it 3 times, check it. If you've made a mistake, please go back and change it. Now, you should be this is a good opportunity to practice your running writing or cursive writing, and do try and get the letters on the line. Do go through and read each of these words and then break them into their syllables, then cover them, write them and check to make sure you've spelt them correctly. In this section we want you to complete the words, rewrite and match to the definition. So just be aware of when you're adding sub to press, because of the prefix change rule, you know that you must change the B to match the first letter of the root word. So do be aware of that when you're writing it. Fill in the gap with the list word, quite easy. Now down here, we want you to write a sentence with each of these list words in the given form. So subject you have to write as a noun and then as a verb in the sentence. Substitute as a noun and then as an adjective in the next sentence. And then supplement as a noun and then as a verb in the second sentence. You simply have to cover and write the words underneath each of these given words here. Then down here you write the base word and they're all going to be verbs, so just be aware of that. So supportive, what will you write as the verb or the base word for that? Now here you have to fill in the verb table, so the base word, adding the S, adding the ing, adding the ed. Now you know that if you're adding ing to a word that ends in e goes away and ing comes to stay. If the E is already there and you want to add ED, you don't add another E, you just add the D. So be aware of that because that's going to come through as well. Fill in the gap with the words below. You've got subjective, substitution, suppression and supplementary. You have to use those words once to fill in each of those sentences. And then down the bottom, you're going to make the list word into an adverb. And you should be pretty good at that by now. So all you do is add ly. And then we want you to use that word in a sentence. So remember, it's going to be describing a verb. In the prefix change rule, we know that we can change sub to sub if the base word begins with a P. So we don't say suppose, we say suppose. And that's because it's easier to mouth. That's why they make that change with some of the suffixes. So all you have to do here is add sub or sup. So you know you're going to add sup if any of these base or root words start with a P. Then down here you have to choose 4 words from above and use them in a sentence to show their meaning. They don't have to be a word with a P base word. They could be any 4 words. Now down here we want you to go and do some research. We want you to think up, write 6 more words that begin with sub. So have a think about that. Now there are some exceptions. Complete the words by adding sub. So even though these base words start with a P, we're not using the prefix change rule. We're keeping the sub here. Choose 1 word and use it in a sentence. Now the important thing, the reason we're keeping the sub here is because we want to be able to emphasise that the new word is less than or below the base word. So that's very important to remember. Now define the following words and use each of them in a sentence. So you can go through and if you don't know what they mean, just look them up in a dictionary and then write your own sentence. We want something in your own words there.